Okay. Hello, everyone. Just wanted to... you're back. We're back. It's here
Like
this
we never
time.
left
We didn't...
because we didn't.
Well, we kind of left this specifically. Although it was more recent than it feels. This is obviously the sequel to the soundtrack tier list, because it is the sequel to the soundtrack. But that video feels like it was... I was about to say weeks ago. It was technically weeks ago. It was 2 weeks ago, but it feels like it was longer ago than that. It doesn't feel like it was our second most recent Saturday video.
That's because time's a dragon.
Times are ticking.
Dragging these balls all over your mouth.
Speaking of dragons, no, let's not speak of dragons. Actually, don't. Let's not. No more dragons. No. What do you mean?
I'll have you know, commenter, that we don't have a dragon fetish.
I don't.
We just want there to be more fantasy parts of this game, and that's now like one of the most likely things it could be.
Sure, but that's not what we're here for. It's not. We're here to talk about music. La musique.
Oh, good.
C'est magnifique. Because I think Soundtrack Volume 2 is slightly better, but at the same time, it's probably only because there's less of it, which means there's less repetition or less similar sounding tracks. Even then, some, it's not wholly different. Some sound like they could be from Volume 1, and obviously you'll hear those because if you've seen the first episode, which episode? That sounds like there's gonna be more. Well, there will be when we do the jukebox song tier list. That probably won't ever happen.
I think it could.
Why not?
Is there even the... How could you categorize them? Do you know you'd find them on YouTube? Do you know what they're called?
Yeah.
Do you know all of them?
I don't know what they're called off by heart. The wiki's got them all listed by name.
God damn it, Wiki.
What? No, don't. Let's not throw any shade at the wiki. All right, the wiki's awesome. Even if it is missing things. Yeah, anyway, if you've seen the first part, you'll know that we'll play a little bit of each song before we rank it. And there's no better way to demonstrate such a thing by getting right into it. Starting with a Swarm track, Distant Terror. I hope you've got your headphones on, a nice cup of tea, and you can have a listen. We can also play more than we did last time. Not for any particular reason, other than we could have played more of them last time, but we didn't. So be prepared to hear roughly 20 seconds of each one. Alright. 3, 2, 1. Wonderful. I stopped it at just the right time as well, I reckon. That was perfect. Fun fact about this this pile of ass. It was actually originally conceived as just for Mactera swarms, which is a really cool idea that just got left behind. Nevertheless,
Doesn't make much sense.
no, it doesn't, does it? But
'Cause
still,
I don't know. If I could see this being only for a certain thing, it's just only for oil refinery, which I don't think was out when this was made. But yeah, because that's
Really?
kind of even.
You connect those two for some reason.
Yeah, what do you mean for some reason? It literally sounds like the refinery, identical with it. I can't be the only one that hears that.
Oh God, you're quite loud. Hold on. I don't know why, but well, maybe I do know why. Yeah, I think you're right actually. That's weird though.
Well, it's because it's got like the hammering, pounding, constant smashing sound that the refinery uses.
Yeah,
It's
it
not
must
probably
be
the
that.
same sound. Hell, it could be, but
It
yeah,
could be,
it's the
actually.
like charged up thwank, charged up thwank,
Wait,
charged
hold
up
on, stop. That's a
thwank.
great sound effect. That's like, like onomatopoeia, like those words that like sound like the sound. Obviously the obvious one is bang, but thwank.
Wank.
No,
Yeah.
thwank. That's incredible.
Point is, yeah, I don't know. I have that quite strongly tied in my head. Like even when it's obviously not for refineries. Although I think it has lined up a couple of times with that, and it's felt quite fitting. But
That could be it though. It could just be
yeah.
very. Like, it sticks out when that
I mean,
happens because they go together quite well.
I didn't go through all of the ones this time round, but I did do Resistant Terror. I put it in A. Hits pretty hard, which I gotta agree with.
I did no such thing. I gave it. What?
You did insult it just now, didn't you?
No, I didn't. Well, that wasn't really real. But I did. What the fuck is that sound? I did give it a C though, because for me that was like the only part of the song that really counted for something. You can't hear some really horrible noise right now, can you?
No.
Like coming, like my voice is like distorted in some way.
No.
No, it's just I think it's my earphones making strange sounds. It shouldn't be coming through. It shouldn't be.
There's not much you can do about it, even if it is. Just maybe don't bring it up all the time. Whenever you hear a bad sound, and no one will notice.
Yeah, but now they'll notice it even if it's not there.
Sure, but that's far too late for that. Which is why I'm bringing it up.
No, I just mean like I've artificially created a problem because even if they can't hear anything, they're like, "Oh, I think something's wrong."
I know, and you do that every single time, and now I'm calling you out this time. So from now on, unless you know damn well that it's picking it up and it's the worst sound ever, just don't fucking mention it. Don't give it the attention. And then no one will notice or care. Because most of the time, I think the recording doesn't actually pick it up as well. So just chillax. Let's listen to some music and not whatever you're hearing. And put it in A, because I see no other reason why it shouldn't be in there.
I might have to. What I'm going to do, because I don't mind doing this, and I did it a lot on the last episode. I'll skip like a little bit further in and put like a couple of seconds. So it seems like the same kind of thing comes back, and that's really that sort of like creeping, extremely dramatic, like rising sound is. At least it does it more than once. I'll give it that, because sometimes some of the tracks have like a piece that I think is really great, and it doesn't come back, and I'll give it credit there. And it's very much defined by that.
One, right?
Yeah, and it is really defined by that very intense, like creeping up effect.
Yeah,
and I think it is really good. It's effective in that sense, but it doesn't provide the kind of momentum.
Hammers and that.
Yeah, I don't know. I it's good, but I prefer the Swarm tracks to be a bit more dancey. I don't know. I not like actual dance music, but this isn't my preference. But
I think it's the opposite. This is just the kind of thing that I like. Just a heavy, constant rhythm. With like a bit of hammer thrown in, because every good song, it's the same with games and fishing. Like fishing doesn't make a game good, but like
every good game is fishing.
Yeah,
but Deep Rock doesn't have fishing. But maybe that's
I know.
That's next on the roadmap.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if people actually get the water they want for some fucking reason, why not at that point?
There's never gonna be fucking water. There's never gonna be water in Deep Rock. Just stop. Quit while you're ahead.
Maybe they'll have it so you can fish into the void of space and just like fish up some.
Oh, that sounds lovely.
Like random shit. Point is, what do you put in then?
You know what? I might put in A actually, because I've come around on it. Because I think like when it comes to the not as musical Swarm tracks, it's definitely one of the best. It's got this very clear purpose. I really like those sections that it uses. It's very effective. But it's not like an. It leans a bit more to horror than action, I think. But I like that from a Swarm track. I mean, I like that it does that because none of the Swarm tracks are that horror-esque, really, or at least not as much as like the Dreadnought songs.
The thing is, it is like horror, but then the drop is like hammers, which is very synonymous to like dwarves or maybe more mining than hammers, really. But just the just the constant repetitive mining or hammering sound.
It does sound like mining, doesn't it?
So it is like, you know, it's the horror of the caves getting like, and when it like rises, the dwarven sound matches it and kind of quells it.
I wouldn't say it quells it. I wouldn't say it overpowers. I'd say wow wow. It's probably a bit more prominent than the pickaxe sound.
Yeah, but
you
then
hear
the
both.
wow wow calms down, which, you know. But the point is I do really quite like it. To be honest, it's definitely up there for me.
It's because it's the only one you've listened to. It's because it's.
No.
No, obviously that's not true. You listen to more than one. I was about to say I'll put it in A, so we don't end up. I gave it a C, but I don't know if I really abide by that.
B.
No, because I think I'd probably lean towards B for myself anyway. So I'd be willing to concede an A, potentially, especially because A ends up being quite barren.
I guess it's kind of those things where if you have what you would put them all, is it A? I mean, it probably isn't for you, but like, you know, how empty is the top half of your tier list? Like, obviously very empty for the viewers and current feed right now.
It's very empty for everyone right now. Yeah.
Maybe we'll put it in B for now, and then if we notice that everything's empty, we'll bring it up.
It is very distinct, though. I'll give it credit there. It is very distinct, I think, or at least you notice it. You know. Next up is Absolute Zero, an ambient track. So I don't really know how much I'm going to play of this because it's an ambient
Get the
track.
point.
Yeah. Oh, it's enough of that. Enough of that. That's going on a bit too long.
Track, it's quite musical.
Well, that's I picked that part, right?
Yeah.
To play, obviously. But you know, you gotta take the best parts. Like that's the thing for an ambient track to have a section like that in it is quite interesting. But the most of it is fairly ambient, more like what you expect.
I gave it a B.
Yeah, so did I. I mean, I guess that means we should put it in B, but that's not bad. I like parts like that where it's like because obviously that kind of music, it's the ambient tracks aren't typically very musical, but that kind like that piece that we just heard that wouldn't fit into any other category either. You wouldn't hear that in a Swarm and think that was anything special. That would be like weird. It'd be weirdly soft. But it's just nice to hear bits like that in ambient tracks. Another weird thing about this, it was originally created it was originally conceived to be just for the glacial strata, which is another weird one. And it definitely evokes that for me. Like if you hear the beginning, it sounds like almost like it's got this really like glistening sound to it almost. And it's pretty cool.
Also add that now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think it's exceptional.
It makes me feel off that Distant Terror is now in A, or not with it in B, but yeah.
I don't know. I think probably a similar level for the separate categories. This is definitely one of the. This is up there for ambient tracks. Most of the ambient tracks I think were in C. Last time, that could be wrong. Next up, a lovely Swarm track known as Axes Out.
I actually put that in B, and I kind of know why. Because I think it's good, but to be honest, it's one of the few songs in the game that I feel I've over listened to.
I think
Like
that's
generally,
because I think I know
I
why. It's because it's quite goofy.
yeah. Well, it's just one that just rubs me the oh, it's this song. I don't know. I'm just not that fond of it.
I like it quite a bit. It's still, I wouldn't say it has a particularly unique sound, but it's still very recognisable. Um, and that's because it is a bit silly, and that's not like an incorrect thing to say because that was something that they thought like, when they were making it. They thought that it might be a bit too goofy for the game, which I'm not really sure applies. But it doesn't sound quite as serious. It's got this weird sort of bouncy melody. Um, yeah, it's a weird one, but it's not like it's a weird one, but it doesn't actually impress me in any particular way. I actually gave it a C. I'm not sure if it deserves that, but
Oh my.
yeah, I know it's weird, but and I guess B is just where most things end up, and it's always stupid when you try and dance around trying to like not put most things in B because
For a Swan song, B is pretty low. like
that's true.
like
Yeah, which is why I
some
think.
of the,
Do you think we should put Distant Terror up? Like, if we're going to put Actors Out in
I
B?
personally really do.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Let's put it up. Fine, you can go in A. That's fine. Um. Oh, what's that? Because I can barely read it. The text is so small. Next up is Dance of the Dreadnought, which is another Swarm song. Let's give it a listen, eh? Well, there you go. What a tune. What a tune, everyone.
I give it A.
I started with S because this was what I crossed it out, by the way. I've actually got A, but this has always been one of my favourites. But I recognise that it's sort of its sound is like better than it is as a song. And I know I think it's a bit of a weird sentence, but I think I'm
Very weird.
right. Yeah, but it's like it is very repetitive. But I like the sound that it's making still. It could just be a little bit more different in places, but I still like love every part of it. It's just some of the parts are repeated a bit too much or a bit too long. But no, I mean, I like I said, I had A written down originally, so no, I had S written down originally, and crossed out and put A. So I still think very highly of it. It's definitely one of the coolest sounding tracks. It's pretty close to. It's definitely the closest to like rock that you get in game, which I appreciate that tremendously. I mean, there's one later on which is not similar to this, but is also very well. That's got the drums, but this I like the guitar that's going on here especially. It's very well utilised, I think. And I don't mind that it's actually repetitive because it's meant to be quite aggressive and it's not like Doom or anything, but it's sort of meant to like get into your head and be like quite aggressive and repetitive, so so you can keep fighting in that way. I think it's pretty cool, pretty darn good music if I do say so myself. Let's put it in A. Let's put it in A. Seems to be no argument there.
No.
Who's next? Oh yes, Deceived by Light, the most significant track, of course. Another ambient one. Right, let's give it a listen. actually paused it earlier than I wanted to. Still, taking that section alone, because obviously I picked that quite specifically, but that's still, it's the same thing as Absolute Zero. It's got a really cool part in it, but it's still surrounded by more something that sounds more ambient. But I think that's so far with the ambient tracks in Volume 2, that's what set them apart, I think, because Volume 1 has some stuff a bit like this, but these like more musical sections really stick out to me, and that one especially, that's quite groovy, I think, and it makes the track really, because ambient tracks aren't really music unless they include something like that. So
I give it a B.
So did I. And that's probably where it should be, because it's not like it
wrote something, but I can't tell what it is.
Oh.
My handwriting's so shit. It begins to walls on the sun.
Great. I'm actually going to skip a little bit further in towards the end of this and see what it sounds like. Just going to dance about. Yeah, like I thought, it doesn't really come back, that part, which I wish they did. It would make those tracks a lot better. Probably elevate this one. Probably be in like A if it had a bit more of that part that I played at first.
Yeah, that was nice. I was jamming.
You were jamming. You were headbanging.
I was.
Tongue out.
Yeah, it was a vibe, as the youth say.
Are we not?
But I guess we are youths.
We're old men.
I don't feel it though.
Pardon me. So I put it in B. I mean, it's B, but it's not like that's not because it's boring. I mean, I think we established last time B is like average when it comes to like when you're ranking something, but pretty much all the soundtracks above average. It's an above average soundtrack, so it's still a respectable place to be in. That any song should wish for. What?
Wait, but you put it in B? Yeah, we put it in B.
Oh, very clever, very clever, very clever. Right. Next up,
I'm now out in the wilderness. I've not listened to any of these ones now.
Oh, so. Right, okay. It's another ambient track. Oh, I love having two ambient tracks in a row. Echoes from the Past. Where is it? Let's give it a listen, shall we? Now, for time's sake, I'm going to go a bit towards the end as well.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
I think there's a bit more choir somewhere as well. Oh, there you go, it's more choir.
That's it.
Yeah, I gave it an A as well. I think this is probably the best ambient track, to be honest. It's the thing that makes it good is there all throughout.
Yeah.
First of all, well, not all throughout, but it comes back a lot. It's got the distinct dwarven, like it feels like it's got some mining sound. It's got a nice like drums, not very like heavy drums, but they're still there like quite often. And the choir too. It's like meant to evoke. Well, it's called Echoes from the Past. It's meant to like evoke like
ancient dwarven
non paraphernalia. I don't know. But yeah, it's easily maybe not easily, but I think it is actually the best ambient track, or at least so far. I mean, I don't know if any of the others are going to get above it. I don't know how many are left, like one, so probably not. Yeah, this is good. This is great stuff. It's just a great track, really, and it's the closest to being like a really good song, I think, out of all the ambient tracks too. So,
yeah,
let's put it right up there. Right, Ben A. An ambient track getting to A, that's basically the S tier of the ambient tracks. But I don't think an ambient track
Pretty
can
much.
really get into S, unless you count the Memorial Hall track as an ambient, because of course we put that in S.
I think you could put it there. But yeah.
Realistically, it is an ambient track. I think it probably is like categorized that
But
way, like by the team.
But its job isn't to kind of sink into the ambience. Well, it is, but the ambulance, the ambient. Can't say it now.
Look, I think the Memorial Hall track is more deliberate because it's meant to do more heavy lifting than a normal ambient track. When you have sound effects and like the activity of the mission going on, the Memorial Hall it's kind of just the music.
You're
but it's
supposed
still
to
an
walk in,
track.
and the music hits you with the visuals, and that's what its kind of job is. It's basically 50% of the experience at that point. Meanwhile, with normal ambience tracks, it's like 10%. It's like just in the background.
Yeah, because the Memorial Hall thing is still in the still an ambient track, but it's not really the background.
Yeah,
like you said, it's like 50%. So yeah, I mean, there's no argument there. We like it. It's a good ambient track. Right, what's next? I Welcome the Darkness. Wait, no, it's not. Oh right, no, it's because so I have written down Follow Molly would be next, but I put that at the end. I Welcome the Darkness. Let's have a listen, shall we? It's an Extraction track. So I was pointing out that was about 10 seconds from the end. So that was like the end of the track. But still, it's got a nice like. I think it's a bass. I think it is a bass line. I remember. I'm going to not quote Sniss, like paraphrase Sniss. He said it's like a dwarven like spy theme almost, and I get where he's coming from. It is meant to be quite low key, I think. Out of the Extraction tracks, but it's sounds pretty. It's got a pretty distinct tune. I like it quite a bit.
I don't know. Extractions are supposed to be probably arguably more high action than Swarms, and I feel like the music should match that.
Well, this is sort of like the alternate take on Extractions, I think, where it's like more of a precise task. So it almost he called it like this. Like I said, Sniss called it like the spy tracks, like. Maybe this idea of you're trying to get out like unnoticed.
Get in there now, get out.
Yeah,
kind of shtick.
It definitely evokes something different for an Extraction song, and I appreciate that, but I don't hold it in like massively high regard. I actually wrote down A because I like it quite a bit, and I think the Extraction tracks are all of fairly high quality. But I might not. What do you think? Like in terms of ranking,
I could do with listening to like more the beginning.
Well, it's about the same. I mean, right from the beginning, it's a good start. I'll give it that.
Right, it's that bit. Isn't that what they use for trailers?
Well, they use a lot of them for trailers, but still, I really like that. Bow, 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 bow. It's one of the coolest tunes, I think, like one of the coolest melodies that they came up with for me. It's just not like an incredible track overall for me though, but I really like what it's doing.
I don't know, it's just rubbing me the wrong way. I don't know why.
I think we'll probably have to put it in B then to avoid upsetting you, but I do like it quite a bit. But like I said, I don't hold it in massively high regard as like a song overall particularly. So yeah, alright, B, that's fine. I do like it quite a bit though. What's next? Let's Go Deeper, which is another ambient track. It's not going to top Echoes from the Past, I'm sure. It's quite a long one too. I'm gonna have to go somewhere. I'm gonna skip like 2 minutes ahead. Hold on. Oh, very exciting. Let's go towards the end now. I mean, yeah, that's what most extraction tracks sound like at the end. Oh, you're making some funny sounds like.
I'm literally falling asleep.
Ha! Yeah, I gave it a C. Because this is ambience.
I think that is ambience at its worst. If the ambience goal was literally, and I am not joking, if I had actually gotten through to watching like listening this far in, that would have sent me to sleep because I was listening to these while I was kind of going to bed, and that would have actually just knocked me out cold, just then and there. Because I honestly, I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure at this point onwards, but if I don't put that as a D, I don't know what I would. Because I hated that. Not to mention it's 6 minutes.
Right,
like,
I'm gonna like skip around a little bit, just like quite sporadically. What a bunch of nothing. I'm putting that in D.
Yeah.
That's probably the worst things in Volume 2. To be fair, so far this has been, I think, by frequency, like proportionally, it's done better than Volume 1. And I'd be surprised if we get another D. I mean, all of the ones I've got left are like B plus. So yeah, let's not dwell on that anymore because we might fall asleep.
Yeah.
Next up, Interstellar Nightmare. I know that this is a Dreadnought track, and it's quite easy to tell. Alright, enough of that. Unless you want to hear more.
Maybe you go a bit earlier on. Like,
yeah.
I mentioned there's like a drop early on. Dreadnoughts ones tend to do that.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So this is interesting because I think that we put all the Dreadnought ones in B because they all do sort of blend together, and it still sounds like one of them, but it's a little bit groovier. It's got.
Yeah, but it's also, it feels like the other ones there. Well, I was like, oh, Dreadnought, but this is like, obviously I still very much associate with it, but this is kind of like the one I associate the least with. Like, this barely rings a bell. Like,
but it does still have that I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a violin. It's some kind of string instrument, but it's got that. It's still got the Dreadnought.
It's the menacing wah.
Yeah, it's still got it.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think it's like the quietest it's ever been, really.
Yeah, the thing is, I do think it's probably. Well, from that, personally, I think it probably is the best one, but I still wouldn't put it above B. What?
I put this as like the worst of the lot.
Of the Dreadnought.
I was thinking C. Yeah.
Really? Hold on, let's go to the middle.
I mean, just, bear in mind, at this point in time, you are fighting a gigantic fucking beast of the nightmares, and you're looking to kick some serious ass and take some serious names.
Well, no, you're not, though. I think that's the point of them. They're meant to be... See, that's the weird thing about this one, I think, though. Because I think the Dreadnought tracks aren't meant to be, like, badass. They're meant to feel scary. I think this one does lose that a little bit in trying to be a bit more musical, but in a way that isn't very effective. It's not like... It's very... The actual, like, beats there, it's very subtle. And it's not doing that much, I don't think. Yeah, to be honest, I think what's different about this compared to the other Dreadnought tracks hasn't actually added anything that's good for a Dreadnought fight. So I might actually, I think it should be. I think I might put it C actually. But I still like it. You know, it's better than most of the ambient stuff. Shut up! I'm putting it in C.
That's not saying much.
Anyway, so we can move on then. Next up, In the Belly of the Beast, another Swarm track. So I decided to play like all of that because that's all you get of that. That part doesn't come back, unfortunately.
Yeah,
but that part is really good. I love that part of the song. It's got this like nice like skittering sound of like this percussion that sort of floats in and out. It becomes like quieter and louder. It's just like a very nice, bouncy but not goofy like Swarm track for that section. But then it sort of pitters out, I think.
The rest.
Let's go. I'll skip a minute forward. So that'll give us like the last 40 seconds. So that sort of melody does come back.
I don't think it's bad.
No, it's definitely not bad. I think it's one of the it's up there when it comes to the more like generic sounding Swarm tracks. Like it's got the same sort of sound as a lot of the Swarm stuff, but it's pretty up there for those. I think I especially like that first section that I played. I really do like that part. It's got it's quite gets you. It's not very aggressive though either. Though. I don't know. Yeah, it's not really an A tier though, is it? Let's be honest. But
No,
it's
not
C either. It's pretty solid D. I think it's a solid B though. Actually,
It's a solid B.
a solid B. A solid B. Ah, look, it's the one that I forgot about because next is the core infuser. So yeah, I categorised as MISC obviously because this is the machine event song basically. All right, and which means I'm just going to play it from the beginning because that's the most like recognisable part. Pardon me. Okay, so what I want to do quickly is just check to see if the kick drum goes away at any point because I don't think it does. Okay, it does. Okay, but yeah, I mean, it's the machine event song. It's distinct,
The
but not.
intro
It's
is
not
iconic.
Yeah, it's pretty iconic. It's not like a crazy sound that they've created for it, but it still is unique, and you know it. But it's not like. But you also know that it's gonna play. You know, which I think is something that should be brought up. You don't. When it except for like the only other tracks that you know are gonna play are like the other. This is the only one like in game. Like in a mission that you know what it's going to be. Like you don't know what ambient track you're going to get, you don't know what swarm track you're going to get, you don't know what extraction track you're going to get, but there's only one machine event track. But it's never got it's not that I particularly enjoy listening to it, but it's never got like annoying. It's like this is always
I never even really thought about it.
No, but you know it's the machine event song though. And but I think that's mainly just because it's only used for the machine event, because it's not like a crazy, like unique, but it is still unique enough. But I mainly think it being used only for the machine events is what makes it that, obviously, but I don't know. It's not anything crazy.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I don't really have a ranking written down for it either. But it's not like I think very highly of it. So it probably should go in B. Because I think
as BS.
Yeah, but it's like if it was like if I said something like I'm tired of it or it did get annoying, then it'd probably be in C. But I think this is the fact that even though I'm expecting it, it always feels like it fits the Machine events. Even the Omen, it's like I just like the fact that this is playing when I'm doing this. It's nice. But it's not anything special beyond it being it's sparing use, but it's also got no particularly negative qualities either. Right, I'm going to take a sip of water. Lovely. What's next? The Last Descent, another extraction track. Let's give it a listen. So obviously that was the end of the track, if you can tell. Hold on, I want to play the beginning quickly, because this is important, actually, I think, for this song specifically. And then we go maybe 40 seconds in. It's not exactly generic, but it's fairly... The point is, it builds... And the ending is really the highlight, but that's the point. It's like it's meant to ascend towards something much more triumphant.
Very often, as you're kind of like arriving, fighting at, or like entering the drop pod, it does just tie them up right.
Because it's also a short one. It's quite a short distraction song, so it's like 2 minutes long, and I think that's meant to like fit in with. You usually arrive at the drop pod like either 2 to 4 minutes, like that's sort of when you get there. You're either there in 2 minutes is quick, or 4 minutes, which is a bit late. So it usually lines up very well, and I think it just gets it right. You know, not every part of this to make a song good. You need to like have good progression, and like it doesn't just have to be a banger from the start. That doesn't inherently make something good. It can, but in this case, it doesn't. It's really what it builds towards is what counts here, and it makes it count. I think it's really great. It's one of the better, not even one of the better extraction tracks, because they're all great. But this is a damn good song, and I want to put it in A. I think.
I agree. Yeah, I think it deserves to be in A.
In
B.
A. Whoa! In a B. No. This is good. This is good stuff. This is one of. It's probably not one of my favourites. I've got 2 favourite extraction tracks. You'll know what they are when we're done. I mean, you already know the one. Actually, you know what? Robot Getaway, I don't know if it is one of my favourite songs from the game, necessarily.
We'll see.
Well, no, that was last week. Not last week.
I know,
that was last time.
but once everything's been on the table, then there's an answer, isn't there?
No, I know what my favourite song from the game is.
It's
that stupid one from the jukebox goes boom, 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 boom. Okay, so the second to last track we got here, Run! It's called Run. It's a Swarm track. Let's just give it a listen, shall we? Let's just give this one a little listen. Oh shit. Hold on.
S.
Don't say anything. Wait. Hold on.
Oh god.
I'm gonna go 2 times speed. Yeah, obviously it's S. What a calm piece of music. No, mate. Because I don't know. I don't know exactly what we did last time. I don't think we put any Swarm tracks in S.
No,
But that's because we were saving it for this.
Oh, I guess.
Because this is the best Swarm track.
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned, that we want kind of hype music to fight against. But
This is
then
the
you mentioned
hypest
that
it gets.
Generally, they also want to be kind of scary. Well, this is like both. It's like it's run. It's supposed to be like, oh shit, look at all these enemies.
I think
like,
it's meant to
music.
be.
But then
It's like panicked. It's really the tone, but like in both ways, or yeah, it's just like because like the drums are very
basically the shit has hit the fan.
yeah, because that's what the drums. It's very not techno, Like the drums specific. The drums are so prominent, and they really are leading the charge here. But they're so good, and there isn't really a track that hits quite as much as this. Robot Getaway comes close, but I think when it comes to like just like a drop and it hits you, like I think Robot Getaway is probably a better song overall, but nothing hits quite as hard as Run. I don't think. And I mean that in the very as close to literal as a song can be, because it really does just hit you around the face with the drums. It's great.
Yeah, and the kind of following adrenaline of fighting a swarm is a bit crack. I would argue.
It's also got a pretty decent melody towards like the middle. It's like do 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 or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, actually didn't catch it there. Damn. Whatever. Yeah, I mean, I think we're both... Well, obviously we're both in agreement in being S, which means I think we're both in agreement it being the best Swarm track.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're going to agree as much on the next one. This is...
I'm going to be honest. I think because it's already been built up, you put it at the end. But, like, this is the one that you always kind of talk about. And, like... I can't quite remember which one it is, so you're gonna have to.
This is an Extraction song. It's called "Follow Molly." Let's give it a listen, shall we? I think that was 1:25 I just played.
Yeah, it doesn't help that you started it way too early, unless you were planning on it being a gigantic build-up, which is what they were.
Well, it could have been
doing.
even longer. I mean, it is longer, the build-up.
Hell, I was expecting you to play the entire fucking song.
I could have done.
Point
well, no,
is,
maybe not. I don't know if I can do that.
S.
Okay, thank
Get
you.
that out of the way.
Okay. Okay, so first of all, it's my favourite track, and I do think it is actually like the best, like technically, like as an actual song. I think it's got the best like progression and just I don't know. I really do believe it.
It is an actual song.
Yeah, because Robot Getaway still is, I think, and it's definitely more iconic than this. But I think as an actual piece of music, I think Follow Molly gets the most right and is exceptional in the most ways as a proper piece of music, like in like the entire soundtrack. It feels like something like proper musicians would make, like Daft Punk, right?
Yeah.
That's where your mind goes.
I mean, it is also just like very similar to Daft Punk.
Yeah, exactly. It's the most like
kind of very
techno
heavy.
It's the most techno like dance type track kind of in like the in-game soundtrack, but it still works extremely well. Like it fits with the game. It doesn't betray the atmosphere or the tone of an Extraction. And it's like, yeah, it's very techno, very dance like, but it still has sort of like the rising to a point element that pretty much not all the Extractions, the best ones have, like Robot Getaway and The Last Ascent, where they sort of build towards something. But the point of Follow Molly is that even the build up is like a tune. It's like a jam. It's like amazing. And it like starts very. I should try and get it to. Cause it starts very early on, where it actually gets into it. But actually, no, it's like pretty much right from the beginning. And it goes from that to this. To this.
Not to mention this part. We're sitting at around 3 minutes, right? So it is now picking up at probably the average amount of time, or like that you.
What we should say is like, also like a full song, like in terms of length as well. It is,
4.5 minutes.
Yeah, I think they really went for it and tried to just make a great song. I think that feels like their primary goal of this more than anything else, to be honest, and that's why I love it so much.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. I don't even then. I don't know if it's necessarily the best Extraction track either, because Robot Getaway is just so iconic and really does fit the Extraction. But I honestly think Follow Molly might be the best song overall.
So
even if it's exceeded in individual categories.
Run is the best Swarm song. What is it, For the Fallen, or something like that?
Ode to the Fallen.
Ode to the Fallen's the best, atmospheric song. Let's go with.
I think we should say miscellaneous, because I'd want to give like the actual ambient tracks their own best, even though it's in A, Echoes from the Past. But if you wanted to exclude that and just go off the S tier ones, Run is the Swarm track, Ode to the Fallen is the ambient one, and Robot Getaway is the Extraction one, and then Follow Molly is the one.
Best song.
Yeah, because I remember
all parameters.
Yeah, I like I said, I do think it's a better song than Robot Getaway. Robot Getaway is just more iconic, and there's no that's something I do respect about it. But I remember playing this to you, and I just played it in full, and we was like, this is it. This is the peak. And I don't think they could top it, so maybe they shouldn't make it a soundtrack volume 3.
I don't see why you wouldn't want them to try.
I would, honestly. I would love for them to make more music, to be honest. I mean, people sort of say that it doesn't really need to happen, and no, it doesn't need to. I agree with that. But I do think that it's something to be said about introducing music for individual things. Like, for example, like the Caretaker fight could have done with its own piece. Things like that. And that way you're not creating entire volumes if we update. But I think there are certain things that deserve, even things that pre-exist. Like I said, they could add that still. And what other things? I don't know. But more individualized tracks would be cool for individual things. Like the Mactera Swarm track is a cool idea, but they could do better. I do just want more music like Follow Molly, but at the same time, that too much of a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want there to be ones that rise above the rest. You don't want everything to be. Well, you should try and make everything the best you can, but by virtue of not everything being the same, it's like they do the best they can. We say the Dreadnought tracks, but we're never going to like any of the Dreadnought tracks as much as we like Extraction tracks. That's just how it is, because they're different and they shouldn't be the same. But nonetheless, I think we can say for certain. Well, actually, if you were to rank like the whole soundtrack, what would you say?
Oh God. Of like what, all music ever? Like,
no,
what?
I think probably just video game soundtracks.
Hey.
Yeah, that's sort of what I was thinking. It was sort of like I think it happens when you notice that a soundtrack is good, your mind like immediately goes to, oh, this is like the peak of video game soundtracks. But then after like a while, it has time to settle. You know, everything has its peaks and lows.
Yeah, and Deep Rock's low, or the soundtrack's lows, are 7 to 8 minutes of the most boring fucking sounds you've ever heard.
Yes, those are the lows. But probably the biggest compliment that we can pay is that I don't think a single track feels out of place.
No, it's all, because I think that's an issue that we brought up, is part of the positives, in that it's very similar sounding while also being very different technically. Like, each song sounds different. It's like different melodies, different tracks, different kind of volumes, different kind of like stuff, but like it's all clearly the same game. It's all clearly like kind of like space, cipher, wave, bollocolonies, that kind of stuff. Yeah. I just know that there's a soundtrack that's better, so I can't in good faith put it in S.
Yeah.
Which is the Fury soundtrack.
I know. That's what counts.
Every single fucking song in that thing.
I should probably listen to that, because it's like the only time you've had an opinion quite like that.
Thing is, it's a boss fighting game. It's a game where you go from boss fight to boss fight to boss fight. So even and then it does have some downtimes, but even the downtimes fucking slap. It's just generally absolutely amazing. And yeah, so
yeah, it's not because Deep Rock's downtime doesn't necessarily slap, does it?
Not really, no.
But it's not meant to either.
Yeah,
but that doesn't mean that a lot of the ambient tracks aren't boring. They are kind of meant to be, but they still are quite boring. It's just because there's so many. I mean, honestly, I think there are a lot of great soundtracks, but really, I think the extract. Well, that's a cool thing we could do just before we end this. Like sort of the best category, because it's Extraction, right? That's the best lot of music, I think, in the game.
Yeah,
which is really cool. I think, because it's quite a unique aspect of Deep Rock, I think. I mean, I think it's just cool that has the best songs overall, and that's a neat fact. But yeah, this was that's not really a similar shape to last time. It's the Nepal flag, or it's just a flag shape. Either way, that was our soundtrack volume 2 tier list for Deep Rock Galactic. Next week we'll do all of them together. We'll do the volume 1 and 2 tier list, and we just put the 2 in. Actually, that's what we'll end this on, because which one do you think's better, volume 1 or 2?
I think it's interesting that despite the differences in size, we had the same amount of S's. I think it's worth noting. Which means
volume 2 is my pick.
Higher peak rate per song.
Yeah. But volume 2 was almost destined for that, because it was destined to not only be smaller, but also more unique.
And more refined as well.
Yeah.
It was,
anyway, we got we're going to end this before we reach an hour. Anyway, that was it, everyone. Rock and stone, and like and subscribe. No, I'm not going to do that.